Welcome into Bengals Breakdown. I am Tom Downey, Stone Shields, once again behind the scenes for today's show. We're going to break down some Bengals news and rumors items that are out there as we get just to almost the start of mandatory minicamp, where there will be some fun things to discuss for the Cincinnati Bengals here. We'll break down for you guys that, or for that, I should say. And if you guys want mandatory minicamp coverage here for the Cincinnati Bengals, then make sure you guys are subscribed. We'll have news and takeaways, items coming out of that when it's open to media, and we'll do some winners and losers as well. Hit that sub button so you don't miss out. All right, some items we want to discuss on today's show. USA Today ranking Zac Taylor as the 7th best head coach in the NFL. There's of note, a couple of notable coaches ahead of him, or one ahead of him was John Harbaugh, who was number 6. Who, frankly, if I'm being objective, I'm a little surprised he was only 6. I think you could have argued he was a top 5 coach. Also has Zac Taylor ahead of Lions head coach Dan Campbell, which sometimes maybe we get too bent out of shape over some end game decision making that happens. Here's the top 10 list for USA Today, or I should say from USA Today. Number 1 was Andy Reid. Number 2 was Sean McVay. 3, Mike Tomlin of the Steelers. 4, Kyle Shanahan of the 49ers. Matt LaFleur was number 5. John Harbaugh 6th, then Zac Taylor 7th, Dan Campbell, D'Amico Ryan, Sean McDermott. Everyone but Kevin Stefanski was top 10 of the AFC North, and frankly, again, not to be unbiased, kind of feel like Stefanski should be ahead of Sean McDermott. Stefanski's had great success with, let's be honest, bad quarterback play. But back to the Bengals. I actually appreciate Zac Taylor being number 7 on this list. I think if they had done this piece a year ago, and I guess I could go try to find it maybe, I don't think he would have been 7th. And as weird as it might sound, I think the play of Jake Browning and how the Bengals fared amid what ended up being a lost season, but all the success they had on offense without Joe Burrow out there and being able to move the football, have success, I think that helps out the stock of Zac Taylor. Because that gives it some evidence of it's not just Joe Burrow as the reason why the Bengals have had success. So USA Today had him 7th. I think that's fairly fair. How would you guys rank Zac Taylor among all the different NFL head coaches? I don't think we'll get that many 1s. I don't think we'll get that many 32s either. It'll be today's pinned comment, so if the ad comes on the YouTube side, great. Head down there, go vote where you would rank Zac Taylor among NFL head coaches. Next up, we got some Amarius Mims hype train stuff going out there, in part because of comments made by his teammates, by some of the other offensive linemen, and just the general good vibes around the Bengals' first-round pick. Here's what Orlando Brown Jr. had to say about Mims, saying, quote, "He asks a lot of questions, technique, fundamentals, with how this league is, so he's preparing on the field, off the field. He's self-aware. He's got the right mindset in thinking we will have to count on him at some point this season." Meanwhile, Alex Kappa saying this about Mims. He's got a good attitude. He's also a physical freak. That's always good. Whatever I know, I'll pass it on to him. He'll develop over time. He's got a lot to learn, but once he gets everything good mentally, then physically it will come together for sure. I think there is a universe that exists in which Mims ends up being the best offensive tackle from the 2024 NFL draft class. Now, there's a lot of stuff that has to go on for that to occur, but I think there's a real possibility Mims has the ability to end up being that caliber of player. So do you think that will end up happening? Y for yes, N for no in the comments section. Now, if you've watched AR draft coverage here at Chat Sports, or just saying the recent Bengals breakdown videos, you know how much I like Mims. And I think it is absolutely a possibility. The biggest issue I run into with, hey, Mims ends up being the best offensive tackle from this class is it's a really good offensive tackle class. It was historically great with the amount of talent and ability, not just in the top 5, in the top 15, top 20, top 25, even kind of extending a little bit beyond that. My main issue here, and like why it might not happen, I think there's several offense linemen you could say, you know what? He ended up being the best offense lineman from this class. The tackles taken before Mims. Joe Alt, I think, is a special player. My number 1 tackle went to the Chargers. I'm a big believer in Olu Fashanu, who does have some bust potential, kind of like I guess Mims does if we're being fair there. I didn't think Jace Latham should go that early. I had Mims over Latham, by the way. Taliesin Fuaga has great ability as a right tackle. The Saints are trying him at left tackle, and that's kind of weird, so I like to trajectory for Mims and the Bengals, walking the Saints. I think Troy Fatanu's got great talent too. Of course, he's sticking around the AFC North. So I think there's upside there, a ton of upside for Mims, but it's also a good class. If you finish second or third among this group, probably means Bengals nailed that draft pick, and that's the main goal. Now, if you want even more Bengals YouTube coverage, you've come to the right spot. Hit that sub button. We know it's got minicamp. That's good. Stuff to talk about. Then it's kind of a dead period until July. But we're still here with videos, and we'll have preseason watch parties, have in-game watch parties. Stone going to handle that for you guys. That way we can get one for each game. Hit that sub button, youtube.com/BengalsTV. Next up, could the Bengals look to sign Stephon Gilmore? Of the available free agents who are left unsigned, I think Gilmore is one of the better available options for not just Cincinnati, but for any team out there. Now, in this case, Bleacher Report said the Bengals were one of the top fits for Gilmore, and linking those two together, saying, the secondary wasn't great last year, which we'll come back to here. I would argue maybe that was more safety-related than maybe it was cornerback-related. But I think Gilmore, along with guys like Xavier and Howard, etc., Adoree Jackson, would help as a veteran outside option. Gilmore was a starter last year for the Dallas Cowboys. Then Trevon Diggs goes down. He kind of was briefly corner one. Then it was Deron Bland. And then Bland had a rough game, and they kind of put Gilmore back out there. He didn't play so well in the playoffs. Gilmore is getting up there in age. That is an undeniable truth of what he is. But I think he believes, and I'd agree too, he's probably a starting caliber cornerback still in the NFL. He probably doesn't want to go somewhere where he's not going to, A, have a chance to start, B, get paid, C, be on a bad team. Now, if the only bad teams are out there, looking at you, Carolina, Patriots, maybe that changes things. My question for Cincinnati is, as we sit here in June, do they actually need a corner? I am a big believer in Taylor-Britt. Cannot wait to see him play this season. I love Mike Hilton in there in the nickel. Does DJ Turner take a step forward in year 2? Does Daxton Hill emerge as at least a viable backup on the outside and or even beat out DJ Turner? As I've said before, my concern is that maybe Hill, Turner, and Hilton are all best at the nickel, and there aren't enough outside corners. The Cowboys did run a bunch of man last year. The Bengals like man coverage. Gilmore had some ups and downs. He was better on the outside than having to cross over the middle of the field and kind of trail guys. So there's some pros and cons there. I got some more thoughts on this to come, but would you guys sign Stephon Gilmore? S for you'd sign him, you'd bring him in the team, you like that idea. P for you would pass. You don't want to go down that route. Let me know in the comments section what you would do if you were the Bengals. Gilmore is still a solid corner. He can still help a team. He is not a superstar player. He's not the defensive player of the year guy he was at his prime. But if you're ranking 64 corners, or maybe we want to expand that to like 90 with backups and nickel guys, I think he's in that grouping. My question is, do the Bengals think they need one right now? Do they think they have to go get somebody? They were linked to guys like Christian Fulton. They took Josh Newton. My guess is if the Bengals add a corner, maybe I look stupid in like 2 weeks, but it's fine. My guess is they're going to give those young guys a chance in training camp to start. They're going to let DJ Turner fight. They're going to let Dax Hill fight. Maybe Josh Newton flashes. So a move might end up being more of a early on, middle part of training camp move, or knock on wood, if an injury occurs, that changes the entire complexity of the cornerback room. And they go, let's see how this plays out. And if like, okay, we're just not there yet, you're in a window. You want to give the young guys a chance. You got to play the young guys. But if they're going to be a liability, and you see that early on in camp, you can't let the cornerback room be a reason why you come up short come playoff time. If you haven't already, folks, please make sure notifications are set to all. That way you never miss a Bengals breakdown video. Go back to where you first subscribed. Click that bell icon. Change it from personalized to all, so all of the Bengals videos get sent right to your phone.